Do you know how to separate your who from your what? Hey guys, happy Friday. Welcome back to Fearless Fridays. Today is Friday, June 21st. This is episode 34 of Fearless Fridays. And as always, I welcome you. Thank you so much for watching, whether it's your first time or you are a repeat watcher. I thank you so much for joining me. So earlier this week, I posted a status on my Facebook page, and it was basically talking about how I have started to avoid telling people specifically what show I do. I don't know if everybody knows I'm an actor. If you don't know that, I think most of you probably know that. But if you didn't know that, I'm an actor. And so I have started avoiding telling people specifically what show I'm in. And the reason I have started to do this is because I notice that as soon as I tell people what show I'm in, the conversation stops being about me as a person and starts to become all about the show. And it kind of bothers me. It bothers me because, don't get me wrong, I love what I do. I love the show that I'm in. I love all the shows that I've done, but I've also done so many other things. And I feel like people's kind of attitude kind of changes when they learn what show that I'm in. And like I said, all conversation about me ceases and it just becomes all about the show. And as I, made this post on Facebook and started to discuss it with anyone who responded, I started to really realize how much we link who we are to what we do, to our job description. Whether you're the CEO or the intern working in the mail office, everybody wants to know what you do as soon as they meet you. And I feel like it's a kind of a way to put people in boxes to figure out how you're going to deal with them, how you're going to handle them, rather than getting to know them as a person. I think this is something that really in this Western culture, we have started to define ourselves and define other people and determine how we're going to deal with people solely on their job description. And again, it really makes me think of the question, who are you? Outside of your job description, outside of what you are able to produce, outside of what you do to make money, who are you? Outside of your career, outside of even your family description. This is a prompt that I gave people earlier this year when I hosted a vision board workshop, yeah. One of the questions that I asked was, outside of your career, outside of your job description, outside of your family description or position, who are you? So that means don't say you're an actor, a dancer, a singer, a model, a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, a mother, a father, a sister, a brother. Outside of all of those definitions, outside of all of those kind of job descriptions, who are you? And I think this is a question that we'll always be answering as people. We're always growing, we're always changing, we're always learning more about ourselves and coming to ourselves as individuals. And I think this is something that we have to constantly be asking ourselves. I know I constantly ask myself this question. And the reason I ask myself this question is because I do not want my entire self-worth to be locked up in my job description, in the company that I work for, in the things that I have produced. I don't want my whole self-worth to be locked up in those things. And of course, it makes sense that the things that we do, the job that we have, what we do to make a living comes out of who we are. And eventually what we do becomes a part of who we are. So it completely makes sense that that is a part of people's description when they talk about who they are, they talk about what they do. That makes sense. But I think it's definitely important to learn to know how to separate those two things, because the job that you have could change, the job description that you have could change, the company you work for could change, the things that you produce could change. Those things are constantly changing. And if we only know how to define ourselves according to those things, what happens when those things go away? What happens? How are we then able to define ourselves? And this is something that I speak about a while ago in episode 17 when I talk about how you name yourself, how you call yourself, and how you allow others to call you, or how you allow others to kind of label you. I think it's important, like I said, to be able to separate these two things. I know personally, I've been through situations, in life where the job wasn't the same, the job description wasn't the same, the company I worked for wasn't the same. And I had to sit back and really ask myself, am I defining myself only by what I do? Am I defining myself only by the company that I work for? Am I defining myself only by the job description that I have? And I had to really do some soul searching and figure out, who am I outside of those people? One thing I know is I'm a child of God. I'm loved by Him. I'm an adventurer. I'm a seeker. I'm a learner. I'm a person who enjoys helping people. I'm a person who enjoys communicating with people. I'm all of those things, and none of those things are my job description. None of those things are technically what I'm being paid to do. None of those things are my career. Now, those things might be part of my career. Those things might lend themselves well to whatever my career path is. But if my career path changes, or my job changes, or my title at work changes, or the company I work for changes, I can still be those things. So this is what I want to challenge you all with this week. And again, like I said, this is something that I'm constantly doing with myself. Who am I outside of my job description? How am I defining myself outside of my job description, outside of what I produce? I want to challenge you this week. Ask yourself that question. And, it might take a while. It might take a while to figure out who you are outside of your job description, especially if you have been defining yourself in that way for so long. It might take a while, but make a list, figure it out. And if you don't know, explore and find out. Figure out who you are outside of what you do. And maybe next time you have a conversation, you don't have to lead with, I work for, or I'm the CEO of this company, or this is what I do. Maybe you don't have to lead with that. Just have a conversation and get to know a person. Have a person get to know you outside of the box of your career, outside of the box of your job description, outside of the box of what you do to make a living. I think that is a life-changing thing to do. And like I said, it's something that's constantly going. It's a process that's constantly changing. We are growing, changing. We are living creatures. We are living beings. So we're constantly adding things to ourselves and subtracting things from ourselves. And so, yeah, I think learning to figure out who you are outside of what you do is very, very important. So that's what I got for you this week. Check in with yourself, figure out who you are outside of what you do. You might find that you're actually a pretty dope person. I think I'm a pretty dope person. And that dopeness, it might have something to do with what I do for a living. But even if that job goes away, even if I work for another company or I go somewhere else and do something else, I'm still a dope person, if I say so myself. This has been Fearless Fridays. As always, if you're stupid, get out in the world, live, love, go, do, be. Don't be afraid to define yourself outside of your job description. It's powerful. I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.